The only time I use a debit card is either to withdraw cash at the ATM or to pay my rent. And that's because my landlord doesn't have the processing facility to receive payment through credit card. But if your landlord does, please do ask him and see if it's something that you'll be able to provide. The reason why I do that is because I want all my expenses to go through my credit card. All of them without exception. And I want that because my debit card did not provide me with any value whatsoever. They are simply useless. The only thing you will need your debit card for is to withdraw cash at the ATM. Please guys, don't use your credit card to withdraw cash. Please don't do it. Just don't do it. Trust me. You'll just incur unnecessary charges. If you live in the UK, you certainly own or you certainly have a credit card. Did you know that credit card is one of the best tools to help you build a solid foundation for your personal finance? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you've never heard of me, my name is Herman Chumo. I'm an accountant by day and an entrepreneur overnight. I want to share with you 5 reasons why using your credit card is more beneficial to you than using your debit card. The first reason is in relation to safety. If someone steals your credit card today and make an unauthorized charge of £1 million, by law, your liability is 0. If you make a purchase online with your credit card and they don't deliver and the merchant just arrived and is broken, or the site that you went to in the first place is a fraudulent site, you have 0 liability. This is crazy. But if the same thing were to happen with your debit card, that is your money that's gone away. Even if you call within the first 2 days to report the stolen card, you still have to go through an enormous amount of paperwork, which can take up to 1 to 2 weeks before you get a new card. In the meantime, you've got your money that's gone. You might have some payment that are due in the next couple of days. You might have to pay your rent, you might have to pay your phone charges, but there's nothing you can do until they go through that process to give you a new card so that you can actually make those payments. So every time you use your debit card, you are exposed with your own money. That money can be stolen and you can lose it forever. Why don't you use someone else's money to do those transactions so that if anything were to happen, you wouldn't be liable? The second reason I prefer credit card over debit card is the fact that it helps me build credit. The way you build credit is by consistently spending on a credit card and paying those expenses on that credit card when they are due, when they become due, generally after 30 days. This shows a couple of things. It shows to the lenders that you are a responsible spender and then you're a good payer. Whatever credit that you take, you pay that back in time. Now, you can use your debit card for you an entire life. It will not raise your credit by this much, not even a little bit. Using your debit card is just a waste of your time. You are not taking any advantage of that the system offers. You're just spending your money away. Instead of building credit, which will help you maybe take out a loan at some point in your life if you're faced with an emergency expenses. So the game here is to put all your expenses through your credit card and make sure that you repay that in full at the end of 30 days, depending on when you start using the credit card. This will be shown on your credit card statement where you'll be able to see when do you have to repay the debt. Or these days now we have apps, with our banks where we can literally see, okay, when the payment is due. Make sure that you just have enough money on your current account so that you can repay that debt when the time comes. And doing that over time, for a long period of time, will help you build credit, to a point where you have a very good credit score, which will help you do other things further down the line. The third reason I prefer using my credit card is actually a result from the first reason. What does that mean? Now that I've been able to put my expenses through my credit card and pay that in full at the end of the month, this have now qualified me as being someone that's credit worthy. Being credit worthy means that at some point during your lifetime, you might want to have to take a loan. Generally, you want to do that to pay for large expenses. So that might be for a car or a house or an education. For one of those 3, you might not have the cash with you. And, the good thing is if you're a credit worthy, meaning that you've been able to build a good credit score, you will be able to take out a loan to actually make that purchase. So that means you become an attractive candidate to banks to lend you money because they know that at the end of every month, you'll be able to repay whatever capital plus interest that you have to repay on that debt. However, there are some instances where you might still have cash. You might be able to afford what you want to buy. You might be able to buy the house outright for cash or buy that car outright for cash. But it might still be better to borrow money to make that purchase over the long run. What do I mean by that? Let's assume that you have £500,000 sitting in the S&P 500, for example, and that is generating you, let's say, 7% a year. Now, if you decide to withdraw that money to buy the house, what will you be generating next year in terms of return of that investment? 0. You're taking in £500,000, which is making you £35,000 a year to buy a house. So as soon as you buy that house, it's the house that you're gonna stay in. So it's not an investment house. You're gonna be staying in that house. So you're actually not making any return. There's another way to think about this. Why don't you go out and borrow £500,000 with that £500,000 sitting in your S&P 500 as a guarantee to the bank? They will say, okay, because you have a good credit score, we will lend you the money at let's say 3%. 3% will be a good deal for you. Why? Because £500,000 is sitting in the S&P generating 7%. Paying 3% there for that house, that will cost you £15,000 that goes into paying the house. £35,000 that you're getting from your S&P 500. You end up with a net return of £20,000 per year. So this is what you call financial engineering. Let's recap here. Two situations. One situation, you've got £500,000 sitting in the S&P generating 7%. That's £35,000 a year. And you withdraw that money from the S&P, and then you purchase the house outright, cash. How much money are you making now? Zero. You've got zero return. Second scenario, you leave that money there and you go and borrow money at 3%. You borrow money at 3%, you'll be paying $15,000 a year on that mortgage. 35,000 minus 15,000 is 20,000. Because you went and borrowed the money, you're still able to make a return of 20,000 on your return, net, which is better than doing zero by withdrawing that money from S&P and paying that house cash. The reason why this is important is because you're only able to borrow that money if you have a good credit score. If you didn't have a credit score, the bank wouldn't want to borrow you that 500,000. You know why? Because although you have that guarantee, but you have no history in the past of being someone that pays his debt on time. Therefore, you will be forced to withdraw the 500,000 sitting in your S&P to buy the house cash and losing return on your money. Having a good credit score helps you save money over the long run. The fourth reason why using credit card is best is the fact that not only you can borrow money, but you can borrow money at the cheaper rates. This is just brilliant. Let's take our example that we talked about earlier so I can drive this point home. So earlier we looked at you borrowing the 500,000 from the bank at the interest rate of 3%. Now you're paying 15,000 and you're generating a net return of 20,000. So that's how much you're making because you still have that 500,000 sitting in your S&P 500 and generating. And that continues to generate every year 7%. If you didn't have a good credit score, the bank will lend you the money at 3%. They will say, you know what, we're only able to lend you that 500,000 at, let's say 5%. Now 5%, instead of paying 15,000, you end up paying £25,000 a year on that loan. You can see that your interest cost has increased from 15,000 to 10,000 pounds. Just because you have a poor credit score. You lost 10k just in a matter of habit. Isn't that crazy? This is so crazy. Just get your credit score right, so that you can save money on similar deals going forward. I know this example is quite big because we're talking about 500,000, but it could be £10,000 purchase for a car, £10,000 purchase for an education. It's the same principle. You just have to understand the nuances that lies between you having a low credit score, therefore having to pay more interest on the loan, and you have a good credit score, therefore having to pay less interest on the same loan. So let's finish that example. We were at 3%, you were spending £15,000 a year on interest. At 5%, you're spending £25,000 a year on interest. At 7%, you're paying £35,000 a year on interest. Now, let's keep in mind that £35,000 is what you generate when that 500,000 is sitting on the S&P 500. So right now, net, you're making zero. It's the same thing as if you were taking that money out and just buying the house cash outright. Because by doing that, you're not generating anything. You would then see that if you had to borrow that 500,000 at 7% and above, at 7%, you're making no money, and from 7% onward, you start losing money. You start paying more than. So you're now at negative level. You don't want to be at that position. And the only way you want to be in a position where you can always borrow at a low rate is if you fix your credit. And how do you fix your credit? Is by spending every expenses that you have as possible through credit card and making sure that you pay in full at the end of 30 days. That shows good character. That shows that you're credible. That shows that you're a credit-worthy person, and you'll become more attractive to bank to borrow your money if you need to do so in the future. The fifth reason why I prefer credit card over debit card is because of the perks that you get. We are all different people out here and we all have different interests. Some people love traveling, some people love shopping on Amazon, some people love cash. I'm one of those people. It will make sense to get a card that gives you the benefits that you value the most. Now, if you click on this video, you will see my 5 best recommended card ever, at least at the time being on the market. First could be cashback. You've got credit card that gives you cashback up to like £100 a year or even more. And then you have cards that allow you to collect points to a point where if next time you want to travel, you might be able to travel for free or buy that ticket at a cheaper price. There are cards that allow you, if you're a big Amazon shopper, Amazon has a credit card scheme that allow you to get a lot of reward back, so that you can spend less money going forward next time you want to buy from them. If you're a Sainsbury's shopper, Sainsbury's got a card that allow you to get reward so that your next purchase becomes cheaper and cheaper. All these different cards are very, personality driven. There's no best card for everyone. This reward and this cashback, these are not stuff that you can get with your debit card. These were the 5 reasons that makes me prefer a credit card over a debit card. Thank you guys for watching. If you got tremendous value out of this content, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. I'll be dropping a new video every week, so make sure that you hit that bell to make sure that you never miss anything. If you thought of another benefit that you could get from the credit card that I haven't mentioned here, please let me know down in the comment. Also, if you have any question or any concern regarding all the stuff that we talked about today, please leave the question below and I'll shoot a video to answer them. Now, click on this video right here if you want to know how to optimize your credit card to squeeze all the juices out of it. If you really want to go deeper into that topic, this video will show you exactly what you need to do in order to optimize your credit card. I really appreciate the fact that you spend your most precious asset, which is your time, to watch this video. It would be a shame for that time to go to waste. So please take some time during your week, during your day, over the weekend to apply some of the principles I'm suggesting in this channel. Your financial situation will not improve by only listening to me, but it will improve by implementing some of the suggestions I'm discussing on this channel. Now, go take action.